Hello, and welcome to episode 2 of the Terry Koss Show, a wrestling podcast. I'm your host, Terry Koss, and this week, 2 weeks ago on my first episode, I talked about the first 2 weeks, first two shows in the Cruiserweight Classic. This week, I will cover the third. So, the third week of the Cruiserweight Classic, which was either taped or aired on July the 27th, our first match featured England's Zack Sabre Jr. up against fellow Canadian Tyson Dukes. Now, Dukes has been around the sport for, probably close to 20 years, has wrestled in WWE, in TNA, and many other matches, and so on and so forth. He is also the guy that helped to train Michael Elgin, who is currently the IWGP Intercontinental Champion and a former Ring of Honor World Champion. That aside, Sabre I'd heard of before. Sabre, oh my gosh, he wowed me. Just the way he was able to get out of holds, like again, the countering of holds that Dukes had. Dukes had the power game, but Sabre, just impressed me. If you want to look up that match if you can, or just look up Zack Sabre Jr. I became an instant fan right there, obviously. The next match featured India's Harv Sira, one half of the Bollywood Boys, taking on Drew Gulak. Both these guys I've heard of. Harv Sira wrestles up in ECCW, Elite Canadian, I think it's Elite Canadian Championship Wrestling. Him and his brother are the tag team champions. He's also one half of the Global Force Wrestling tag team champions with his brother Gurv Sira. Drew Gulak I saw in Chikara, and he impressed the heck out of me. More really kind of a technical, really good at submissions. And again, this match was great. Sira with the high flying, Gulak can get you in any submission, anytime, anywhere, and beat him with a Dragon Sleeper. Those who don't know what the Dragon Sleeper is, it's basically like a reverse DDT. It was made famous by the Ultimate Dragon in WCW. But Gulak's is a little different. He'll take the head, put it under his arm, and then he'll kind of grapevine the body, like putting extra pressure on the wrestler. And of course, Sira had to tap out, and Gulak moves on to the next round. Sabre also moved on to the next round as well. The next match featured a Battle of USA. USA's Anthony Bennett up against USA's Tony Nese. Again, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Some of these guys I've heard of, some I have not. Tony Nese is a guy I've heard of, wrestled in TNA. A great showing by both these guys. Anthony Bennett had the kind of the kid and play thing going there. I'm dating myself a bit. Nese, had the power game and was deceptively fast. I could not believe how quick this guy is. I don't know how big he is, I don't know how tall he is, I don't know how much he weighs, but this guy looks big but can move like lightning. He ends up beating Bennett gets some good shots in the match, but Nese ends up beating him with the 450 splash, and a good 450 splash, and he moves on to the second round. The last match of week 3 features Mexico's Raul Mendoza up against the United States' the Brian Kendrick. Now, if that name sounds familiar, Brian Kendrick has wrestled in WWE before under the name Spanky. Was also one half of the now second longest reigning WWE Tag Team Champions of all time with Paul London. Also a former World Tag Team Champion with Paul London. And a former TNA X Division Champion. Now this match was really good. Kendrick, has looked better than he has looked in years. I think he said it to Daniel Bryan that, he's in the best shape he's been in years, and it was a really good match. Mendoza put up a good fight. Kendrick put up a good fight. I assumed Kendrick was going to win with the sliced bread, or as he used to call it, the Kendrick, but ended up winning it with a move called the Bully Choke, which is, I don't so much like that name, but names aside, Kendrick won it with It's almost like Sasha Banks's bank statement, but it's a little different. He put that on, and of course Mendoza had to tap out next week, and of course Kendrick moves on to the second round. Next week, or in the next 2 weeks, I will be covering the fourth week of the Cruiserweight Classic. Now let's go on to TNA. Lashley is the World Heavyweight Champion, the X Division Champion. Had a match up against James Storm, who, well, congratulations to him, who beat the week before Eli Drake. You know, see what I did there? For the TNA King of the Mountain Championship. And so Lashley comes out and says to Storm, okay, let's put my title versus your title. I thought it was just going to be world title against X Division title, but it was titles against titles. And unfortunately, I did not see the ending of the match. That was probably a match, one of the most I have been hyped for in years, because I wanted Storm to win so badly. I've been a big James, Storm fan for a long time. I can identify him being a country boy and all that kind of stuff. And it was a good match. Lashley speared him. Storm kicked out. Storm hit him with 2 last calls. Lashley kicked out. Storm hit him with the Eye of the Storm, which is like kind of like a spinning razor's edge type of a powerbomb type of thing. From what I've heard, Lashley won the match. Little disappointed about that, but now Lashley has all the gold. So waiting on Thursday to see where we go from here. What does he do with all 3 titles? Is he gonna defend them all like Kurt Angle did years ago, or it's hard to say what's gonna happen. And we also delve into the next chapter of the Hardy story. Now, Matt Hardy won the final deletion and owns all the rights to the Hardy name, Jeff Hardy's name. Jeff Hardy, now going by Brother Nero, owns his music, so Jeff comes out to a different type of music. And the storyline is now Matt and Jeff were the TNA World Tag Team Champions, won them in an Ultimate X match, but a week or 2 weeks after, Jeff broke his leg on his dirt bike, and so Matt had to relinquish the titles, and now it's kind of come back that Jeff, or Brother Nero, has to win the belts for Matt. So the first match was against 2, I want to say jobbers. No, I can't remember who it was. I know one was the Tribunal, but the first one was the Tribunal, actually, not jobbers. And so Jeff ended up winning. Well, Jeff did the bulk of the work for the match. Broken Matt Hardy tags himself in and gets the win. Second week, they're up against JT Dunn and a guy I've heard of, Chuck Taylor. Wrestles in Chikara. Both put up a good effort against Jeff. Jeff ends up winning the match, I think. I'm not 100% clear on that. But then something strange happens. We've seen Jeff as a face for, so long, and all of a sudden something kind of snaps in his head. So Matt's talking to him, and Jeff's like, is that good enough for you? Is that good enough for you? So he sets up a table on the outside, puts Chuck Taylor through there. Jeff says, is that good enough for you? Is that good enough for you? Jeff decides, and then Jeff goes off the turnbuckles, does a swanton bomb into the table, and starts laughing quite weirdly, saying, I am Brother Nero, I am Brother Nero. So maybe Matt has finally broken Jeff. So maybe, I'm thinking now, we see Matt and Jeff on the same page as a heel tag team. Ring of Honor, I've been following, the last couple weeks here and there. Of course, we have the new version of the Bullet Club. Adam Cole and Adam Page both added to the stable. Tama Tonga Loa, who used to be Camacho and then was Micah in TNA. They became the IWGP Tag Team Champions, known as the Guerrillas of Destiny. They were beaten by the current champions, one of my favorite teams, my boys, Mark and Jay, the Briscoes. And now Cole is on a tangent about winning the ROH World title. He screwed Kyle O'Reilly out of a title a few times. A couple weeks ago, there was going to be a match, and the whole hour was set for that match for the ROH World title. ROH World Champion Jay Lethal, who has held the title for over a year right now, up against Kyle O'Reilly. The Bullet Club came, just beat the tar out of Kyle O'Reilly, so the match couldn't take place. So the next week on Ring of Honor, we see Jay Lethal coming out. It looks to me like Lethal's making a face turn, because he said, I didn't like the way that happened. I wanted to wrestle Kyle O'Reilly one-on-one. I didn't want this interference and all that kind of stuff. So Jay Lethal says to Adam Cole, okay, you're coming out here. By this point, ROH Matchmaker Nigel McGuinness has said to Adam Cole, because of what you did, you will never receive a World Heavyweight title shot. And so, of course, this gets Adam Cole pissed off. And so him and the Young Bucks come to the ring, beat the tar out of Jay Lethal, basically knock him out, tie him up with zip ties, and they shave his head. Now, that in wrestling, if you shave somebody's head, they figure that out, they're going to get super pissed. It's weird seeing Jay without his hair, but from what I have gathered, Jay has basically said to Adam Cole, screw this, you took my hair, you want a shot at the title, you got it. So at Death Before Dishonor, which, just give me one quick second, I don't know if this has taken place or not. Jay up against Adam Cole, who has been the Ring of Honor World Champion before, won the world title. This, it has yet to take place. Sorry, it takes place on August the 19th. The matches we have for this show include Adam Page up against Jay Briscoe in a no disqualification match. Now, Adam Page has shown a bit of a more rougher side of himself since joining the Bullet Club. Like, he had joined up with Steve Corino and was helping Steve Corino up against BJ Whitmer and all that stuff. But then he joins the Bullet Club, and we see this different, more aggressive side of Adam Page. And now, since joining the Bullet Club, we see a more aggressive side of Adam Page. Leading up to that, he was helping Steve Corino out with his feud with BJ Whitmer, kind of getting out from under BJ's thumb and kind of doing his own thing. But since he's joined the Bullet Club, it's like he's taken on a whole new personality. He, I believe, attacked Jay Briscoe in the parking lot, or not parking lot, in his dressing room. And this thing has got heated, so Nigel McGuinness has signed a match between the two at Death Before Dishonor. Now, the other matches, I don't know if this is totally full yet, because we've got another 3 days before the pay-per-view happens. For the World Television title, we have Bobby Fish, who I was so happy when he won the belt. He defeated Tomohiro Ishii back at, I think, Global Wars for the title, going up against Mark Briscoe. I really, really hope Mark wins this one, because I'd love to see it. In a non-title match, we have Professional Wrestling's last real man, Silas Young, who going up against the never openweight champion, Katsuyori Shibata. Shibata is a former IWGP Tag Team Champion in New Japan Pro Wrestling with Hiroki Goto. Known a lot for his kicks. His finisher is called the PK, or the penalty kick. He'll get the guy down to a seated position and just kick him in the chest. I don't know if it's as hard as he can, but he's quite a good wrestler. So that will be an interesting matchup. Then we have a 6-man tag team match. We have Koss, which is a faction in Japan. Features guys like Toru Yano and Roppongi Vice. In this match, it will be 3-on-3. The 3 members of Koss, Toru Yano and Roppongi Vice, the team of Beretta and Rocky Romero, the former IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champions, taking on the 3 members of the Bullet Club, Yujiro Takahashi and the Gorillas of Destiny, Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa, the former IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Champions. Now, these men are the sons of Haku, and they are, well, for sure you've heard stories, Haku being tough as nails. I'm sure his sons have inherited that. And in the main event, well, I think I'd like to see Chaos win here. I'm really digging Roppongi Vice. I'm digging Beretta and Rocky Romero. They had a great matchup against the Young Bucks last week on Ring of Honor television. It was a match they were hoping for a World Tag Team title shot. They unfortunately lost to the Bucks, but a great effort nonetheless. It's nice to still see Beretta out there doing his thing. So in the main event, we have the challenger Adam Cole up against Jay Lethal. This one, I think could go either way. You got Adam Cole, thinks he's king of the hill, thinks his whatever doesn't stink, and going up against Jay Lethal, who has something to prove. He wants to get back at Adam Cole for, of course, shaving his head. Of course, when you get your head shaved, that's a big thing in professional wrestling. Also slated to appear, the IWGP Intercontinental Champion Michael Elgin, who defeated Kenny Omega. The ROH World Tag Team Champions, The Addiction, Frankie Kazarian, and Christopher Daniels. Whether they will have a title match, I am not sure at this time. Los Ingobernables de Japons, another faction up in Japan, of Tetsuya Naito, who is the IWGP Heavyweight Champion, and Evil. They will face, I believe, the team of Michael Elgin and Hiroshi Tanahashi. Tanahashi, a former IWGP Heavyweight Champion. Tanahashi and Elgin have appeared as a tag team in New Japan, and I think have done quite well. Have struck up quite a good friendship, and so they will be taking on Los Ingobernables. And for a long time, it took me a long time to figure out how on earth to say that, but anyways. Also feature Kamatachi, who is a new member of the ROH roster, of course, from New Japan Pro Wrestling, has teamed up with The Addiction, and so they're kind of forming a little unit type thing. One guy I want to talk about, Jay White. This guy comes from New Zealand. I saw him a couple weeks ago on Ring of Honor television, had a match up against Kamatachi. Great match. His finisher, the Kiwi Crusher, very similar to Loki's Key Crusher, which he used during the last stint he had in TNA. They had a match. White ends up getting the win, and then of course The Addiction comes and starts beating on him, and then I can't remember who it was came out, and then it was a 6-man. I apologize for not knowing all these things before, and again, I'm doing this off the cuff. But anyways, so they have a 6-man tag team match. Jay White, in his second match in Ring of Honor on the same night, pins Christopher Daniels. So if that is making a statement, I think, more than anything. Also slated to appear, Donovan Dijak, who is now with Prince Nana. I had originally thought Nana, if you remember, a while back was passing out these letters. He passed one out to Caprice Coleman, passed one out to Will Ferrara, and then passed one out to Donovan Dijak. I'm not sure what the letters said. Had something to do with, I'm not really sure. But we had Coleman and Ferrara teaming up for a while. That has since dissolved. I'm thinking down the road, Nana will do the Embassy again. The Embassy, of course, his faction of guys that have appeared over the years. Dijak beat Moose in the last match I believe Moose had for Ring of Honor. Moose is now in TNA. And Nana and Moose have had a good relationship, and also with Stokely Hathaway, Moose's manager. So at the end of the match, Dijak beats Moose, and of course, takes out Stokely, and so does Nana. So kind of cementing a heel turn for Dijak. So that's what's going on with Ring of Honor. I like their association with New Japan Pro Wrestling. New Japan excuse me, has a lot of great talent. One guy I cannot say more positive things about than Dalton Castle. I freaking love this guy. The first time I ever saw him was in the Top Prospect Tournament 2015, and he comes out with his boys with this really cool entrance music, and of course he does the the big fan thing, and I took me a little while to get used to him, but I really dig Dalton Castle. He's got a great theme song. In the course of this podcast series, you will hear me talk about wrestling music, a thing I am also passionate about as well. He comes out to a song called Dalton Wants It Now by Adam Massacre. Adam Massacre is a guy on YouTube who has done quite a few themes for Ring of Honor. He's done one for both Jay and Mark Briscoe and for Paul London. You can find, I believe, Dalton's theme on YouTube if you just look for Adam Massacre. I believe it's under Mr. Adam Massacre. But anyways, yeah. What should we talk about? Well, okay, going on that tangent of theme music. Theme music in WWE has used to be, it would every year or every 2 years, you would have a CD release. I have most of their CDs now. I know I'm probably talking old hat, but they've since gone to digital. The newest ones that they have released have been quite good. Just looking here, just give me one quick second. We have we had Zack Ryder getting a new version of Radio done by Downstate, who have also done theme songs for The Miz and Dolph Ziggler. I like this version of Radio more than the others. There's more of a poppy version. This one is more of a rock version. It sounds really good. Also, Darren Young got a new theme with his whole, Make Darren Young Great Again. Got this nice kind of, I don't know what you call it, by Jim Johnson. Of course, the main song guy in WWE. The CFOs, if you're not aware, compose most of the themes that are available now. Themes like Shinsuke Nakamura's Rising Sun, AJ Styles Phenomenal, and so on and so forth. Their latest one, which was released on WWE Music's channel, if you want to check that out at youtube.com/WWE Music. On there, they have all the newest theme songs that they're going to put out or put out later. And I stumbled upon Bobby Roode's, and I remember friends of mine on the net telling me, like, this song was so good, it's so great. And so I listened to it, and it is so good, like 5 stars. It has a Queen feel to it, and it's called Glorious Domination. Really happy to see Bobby in TNA, and it is a awesome track. If you get a chance to check it out, I cannot recommend that one enough. More music the CFOs have going on. Of course, the theme song for the Cruiserweight Classic, Take a Stand. Good song that has yet to be released on YouTube. One track, Combative, for the wrestler known as Oni Lorcan, which is a CFO's remake of Pennywise's Brohim. The thing I find about CFOs is their songs loop too quickly. The song will go and then it'll kind of do it again. But sometimes it's good, like with Combative. Like, I think that's a great song they put out. But other times they put out a song and it loops way too quickly, and for me that doesn't really do anything. TNA, we have not had a TNA music release this year. The last music release we had from TNA was the POP EP, POP standing for Past or Present, also TNA on Pop TV, and had a few tracks out of there. Still waiting for TNA to put out some music. Just really excited to see what they put out. TNA right now has some great music out. Drew Galloway, of course, you're going to hear me talk about him a lot. He's my favorite wrestler in TNA. Has a really good song, "Wished Away" by Psychedelic, or Psychedelics, or something like that. His theme back in ICW, Insane Championship Wrestling. What do we talk about now? Let me just think here for a second or two. I know this is probably dating myself. Oh, no, let's talk about something else. Okay, one thing I'd like to bring up. WWE has the Hall of Fame every year. This is just a list of guys I think could be or should be in the Hall of Fame in the near future. I'll say accomplishments, what have you. First up for me would be Mike Rotunda, better known as IRS, Bernard Shyster in the WWE. Of course, the father of Bo Dallas and Bray Wyatt. The son-in-law of Blackjack Mulligan and the brother-in-law of Barry Windham. And this guy, a former five-time WWE Tag Team Champion, 3 with Ted DiBiase as Money Inc., and 2 with Barry Windham as US Express. Also a former WCW Television Champion, and I think, again, his resume, speaks for itself. The British Bulldog, of course, a former Intercontinental, European, Hardcore, and a World Tag Team Champion. Never won the big title, but a great wrestler. Everybody knew the Bulldog, and one day I'd like to see him in the Hall of Fame. Who else could we say could be in the Hall of Fame? A guy I think. Well, no, let's say that. A guy I think who should be in the Hall of Fame. A lot of people are saying, well, he should be in when DX gets in, like DX, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, the Outlaws, and X-Pac. I think X-Pac, has done enough in his career to be in the Hall of Fame. One of the early high flyers in the '90s, former WWE European and Tag Team Champion, former WWE Light Heavyweight Champion, and a former WCW Cruiserweight Champion, and also a former WWE Tag Team Champion. Again, one of the early high flyers back in the day, beat Razor Ramon in his first match. I think that definitely warrants a Hall of Fame induction. Another guy, one of my personal favorites from the Attitude Era, that time known as the world's most dangerous man, Ken Shamrock. Shamrock, former Intercontinental, Hardcore, and Tag Team Champion, was one of the first guys from UFC, from the MMA, to make his way into WWE and did quite well for himself. I was a huge fan of his intensity, his ankle lock, his music, his everything was, I thought he was the cat's pajamas. I thought he was so cool. And so I think he, deserves a spot in the Hall of Fame. Another guy, people my age would probably know, people of today maybe not so much, a guy by the name of Slick. Now, Slick was the first, or one of the first, African-American managers in WWE history. He managed the Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov. He managed the Warlord. He managed Kamala later on during his career. He managed the Big Boss Man and Akeem. And was really, really good on the mic, had a good presence about him. Sang his own theme song. If you're not aware, on the album Pile Driver, which is the second WWE release, was never released on CD but released on record, did a song called what's that song called again? Jive Soul Bro. And it's really good song. He later became a pastor And we've seen him here and there in WWE, and I think worthy of a Hall of Fame induction. Another guy, big fan of his during the 1990s was Tatanka. The guy had a really long undefeated streak, had cool music. The little war cry he kind of gave out at the start of his music, I thought was just so cool. Um, didn't win any titles in the WWE, but then again, you don't have to be a champion to be in the Hall of Fame, as we've seen on numerous occasions. Um, Tatanka, I always thought was a cool guy. Had good presence about him. Mic skills were all right. Later joined the $1 Billion Corporation, and then for a tangent of time, we don't see him. Later comes back in about 2006 for the WWE. Debuts at the Royal Rumble that year. Works a little bit, not too much, but then again, I still think worthy of a Hall of Fame induction. What else can we talk about? Also, just to let everybody know, I did finally get a Facebook page up. The link is facebook.com/Terry Koss Show Podcast. I also have a Twitter account at Cheeto Koss. That's CheetoKoss. Got any links for matches or different promotions that I should take a look at, or different themes you like? Just shoot me a message, and my mind is kind of like a wrestling sponge. I any type of wrestling I can get my hands on is great. Also, I was going to do this at the start of the podcast, but I'm thinking about it right now. I would like to thank my friend Eddie K for helping me make the new design of the logo, as you can see in the video. He has himself has a podcast. I will leave a link in the description below. His podcast is really, really good. Interviewed some wrestlers. I've been on his podcast. And to be honest, if you are listening to this and you would like to be a guest on this podcast, if you're a big wrestling fan and you just want to talk wrestling, for an hour or 2 hours or whatever, again, feel free to contact me on Twitter at Cheeto Koss, CheetoKoss, or check me out or send me a message up on the Facebook page at the Terry Koss Show Podcast. That'll do it for me this week. I'd like to thank you for tuning in. Hopefully you had as much fun listening to me as I did talking to you. Again, the format is still up in the air. I don't know whether this is going to be every week or every 2 weeks. I'm going to try my hardest to do at least every 2 weeks. I do apologize for all the the spots where I didn't talk, and that was a long thing. But again, I'd like to thank you for tuning in. I'd like to thank all the people that liked my Facebook page, like the people that shared my video. If you like this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. If you got a buddy out there that likes wrestling or digs podcasts, feel free to send this his or her way. So for Terry Koss, I have been Terry Koss, and I will see you next time.